as well as starting to operate fixed route service potentially on US 1. Similar, but more like a transit system to what they were running before with the blue, yellow, and the green line in downtown West Palm. So they do have a procurement process that they're going to go through. However, I'm not going to commit to giving extra details because I'll be under a cone of silence in a few weeks, and I'm on the selection committee for it. So if you want to hear more, I'm going to defer you to Andrew.
Jim?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment about a tragic accident they had with the fire truck down in Delray Beach. And just try to discourage people from going around if they're covering the gates on both sides, the lane you're supposed to be in and the one you're not supposed to be in. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you mind if you?
No, go ahead.
we have a meeting scheduled with the City of Delray Beach staff, the Federal Railway Administration, Commissioner Long, who is also on our governing board, on Wednesday, the 25th. We're going to evaluate the 3 crossings that do not have what they're called quad gates in the field with everybody from that team. So Wednesday morning, the 25th, we'll be having a meeting. If you'd like, I can provide you more details and see if you'd be interested in participating.
Please do so.
It's going to be very technical, a lot of walking outside. So hopefully we have good weather. I'll send you that after.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Albert?
I want to point out there was a great article in the Coastal Star this month in regards to what the Florida Department of Transportation presented to us a few meetings back about what they were doing to mitigate the car collision issue in Gulfstream and Ocean Ridge, and to point out that Gulfstream and Highland or Ocean Ridge both rejected the sharrows being put on the road and the bike sharing the roadway sign. So nothing went up in that entire stretch, along with no bike lane or paved shoulder to date. Pretty sad.
We can ask COT for an update on that one from the project manager for that section. So thank you. Appreciate that, Albert.
Any other comments? All right, seeing none. Please reflect that Paul Ryan did join us. Thank you. I would like to invite Andrew to provide an update on the CAC liaisons report.
Great, okay. In front of you is the liaisons report printed out. It's also gonna be available on the website. I'm gonna go through a few items here, and then also a part of your packet that we added on today is just an update on an upcoming turnpike widening, where they're gonna have a public meeting, both digitally and in person. And I'm gonna invite Victoria Williams to come speak on that. So as I talk through these items, she can go after me. And you all have that in front of you as well. So for the liaison report, we'd like to congratulate the City of West Palm Beach for adopting a standalone complete streets policy. They did this on February 3rd. The cities sort of informally have already adopted a lot of complete streets into a lot of their procedures at the city, but this sort of formalized that. So a lot of the work's been done through the years towards complete streets for the City of West Palm Beach. We also provide some resources for complete streets for our communities, some guidebooks that the TPA has, and that's on our website at palmbeachtpa.org/complete streets. One of our competitive application processes for the TPA is called the Transportation Alternatives Program. Our cities and other stakeholders are able to submit until February 14th related to that opportunity, and that goes to non-motorized transportation. Once those are submitted, this committee, along with the other committees, they see the results of those priorities later on in the year in our list of priority products. So you'll see what came of that funding cycle in about 3 or 4 months. Next is there is a AARP Community Challenge Grant Program. And this is for an annual quick action grant program that funds local projects that help make communities more livable for people of all ages. And there's applications to March 5th on that. And then next is Florida Bicycle Month. So March is Florida Bicycle Month for Florida. The TPA participates along with a lot of other entities throughout the state. We actually compete with our other metropolitan planning organizations throughout the state ourselves. But a lot of our local organizations and cities participate in this as well. We're going to host a bike ride on March 21st. And Brian actually has a presentation today to go a little bit more in detail on Florida Bike Month. Thanks. And lastly, we're still working towards, we just adopted our LRTP that you all saw, our long range transition plan for our TPA. Our partner agencies, Broward and Miami-Dade, have done the same thing. When we update these plans, we also start working towards a regional transportation plan. And we're mostly through that update as well. But there's still ways to get involved and take the survey on that one. It's at ceftech.org. And that plan is going to be adopted come the middle of this year as well. And we'll have more updates about that plan closer to adoption. And if you haven't already, please sign up for our TPA newsletter. And then lastly, I'd like to call up Victoria Williams. Yep, she's here from the Turnpike. She's going to say a few words on the upcoming widening of the Turnpike.
Thank you, Andrew. We appreciate the opportunity to invite you to come and give us your thoughts about the Turnpike widening in a specific segment. This is the, what's that, over 4 miles? Yeah, 4 miles of the Turnpike from north of Okeechobee Boulevard to south of Beeline Highway. Right now, we're in the design phase and construction has been funded. So this public meeting is to give you information. It's a handout that we also have material at the sign-in sheet. The meeting's going to be just down the road here at the West Palm Beach Marriott, Thursday, February 27th. If that's not convenient for you to go there in person, please join us online. If February 25th for the online meeting doesn't work in your schedule, all of this will be on our website and it will allow for that public input. You can give us bullet points or just thoughts that we may be able to give consideration. Every person, every inquiry we get in writing does get an answer in writing back. So that would be to get your comments in for the public meeting. That'd be Monday, March 10th. Otherwise, you can contact that project manager anytime, and we put his contact info on the form for you. So this is going to have some key improvements, replacing a few bridges, as you see on the write-up, Roebuck Road and 45th Street and the M Canal. We're going to make those signage and pavement markings better for our smart cars. It's been a while since we've worked on this area, and increase the number of travel lanes to enhance capacity and safety needs that we see there. Quickly to mention, a lot of our work in Palm Beach County has been segmented because there's a lot of stormwater maintenance and drainage improvements that we're working with those stakeholders to meet the criterias that are needed for our more resilient infrastructure. And then noise walls. We have a noise wall study. We will have that published, and those that qualify will be getting those in. The contractors like to try to put those in early if at all possible. Don't have any other points to make other than you can always reach out to us on our website. And thank you very much for your time. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Jim?
Just curious, it shows here the public information design, construction begins. How long do they expect the construction to take? They have any kind of guesstimate on that, how many years that will take?
This widening, probably about 2 years. Each segment can be a little different. Some of the bridge work may require more maintenance of traffic so that we're not discontinuing completely operations. It may go down to 1 lane at a time or 2. So some of that may create more than the 2-year normal.
Thank you, and thank you for coming in.
Yes, sir.
Meyer?
Can I ask one more question? The bridge work,
Mhm.
are the bridges presumably will be wider than the 8 lanes, the 4 lanes in each direction in order to accommodate future expansion as they're doing over the bridge over Beeline Highway?
They're trying to accommodate our bridges within the right-of-way that exists right now. There may be some clips that are needed on some of those interchanges, on some of those ramps to and from. But normally, the right-of-way that we're trying to maintain is within our already committed, you can see the fences into the right-of-way line. This improvement is part of the Turnpike Widening Initiative. It's statewide. We're going to go enhance evacuation all the way up. And so it's been a focus point this year on our funding in the work program with the toll revenue to enhance that. This one will give us more from 4 to 8 lanes. So we're basically doubling. Sometimes the piers in the existing roadway for those bridges won't work for the new design. So that's the majority of the reason for those bridges changing. What will get replaced is normally a county road overpass, and it will mimic what's there now. We are providing complete streets treatment to those interchanges and to those opportunities where we can. And frankly, I notice there's a lot of truck parking going on at the one north that goes into the dump, right? The Dwyer landfill. And so it seems like a lot of large rigs, I can see them on the overpass. So we point things out like that to our local project managers, but it's critical to get input from locals with your thoughts too.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Any other comments or anything else on the CAC's report? Paula?
Thank you. I just have a question about those trucks.
Okay.
Are these the trucks out west that have been told to move and find locations to park because there's not, I guess it was in the acreage in which a lot of that battle came through? Anybody know what I'm talking about?
Heritage Farms, acreage.
Is that out
Jupiter
in this
Farms,
area?
I don't know if these are their trucks where they're parking, but the reality is in Palm Beach County, we don't have a truck stop anywhere. So it's
Exactly.
something that long-term we should be trying to find.
And through the chair, if I may,
Yeah.
there is an initiative to look at truck parking globally. The District 4 is a participant as well as Turnpike. You see how we're ripping up West Palm Service Plaza. There's more parking going in there. We also have the tandem Turnpike trucks, which must register and can't go on local roads. So we have facilities for them dedicated as well, but it is truly a need. These seem to be those that are staging to dump their loads at the facilities for our landfill.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Seeing no further comments, I'd just like to remind everybody that we do have the Safe Street Summit on Friday, that the TPA is putting on in coordination with Broward and Miami-Dade counties. Andrew, are there any tickets still available for that, or have they sold out?
Yeah, we're over capacity now.
All right.
Yep, but it's going to be workshops tomorrow, and then Friday is the summit at the
Well,
Hilton.
hopefully, we will see some of our CAC members there. Is it possible that staff could consider giving a recap at the next CAC meeting?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to action items and motion to recommend adoption of 2025 safety targets. Can we invite Ryan Ruscher, Deputy Director of Multimodal, to present this item?
Good afternoon. Ryan Ruscher again, Deputy Director of Multimodal here at the TPA. Presentation is getting pulled up. I'm here to present item 2A, the performance measures and our safety targets for 2025. This is an item that we look at every year in 2 different increments. So the first time you see performance measures is in February when we are mandated to adopt our safety performance targets for the year. And then in June when we adopt our safety performance targets for the rest of the program. Now, what do I mean by that? So goals, objectives, and performance measures, they come from that long-range transportation plan that we adopted through the governing board on December 12th. Those 5 measures that we're looking at specifically are derived from the safe, efficient, connected, multimodal, and resilient framework that we operate from here at the TPA. Safety has specific indicators and targets that we follow. So you can deep dive into each of these, but today we're going to be focusing on safety. The history of target setting at the TPA started back in 2018 with respect to our current goal, which is zero. The TPA is a Vision Zero agency. We strive for our work to have resulted in a roadway system that ultimately provides for zero serious injuries and zero fatalities. We've had that goal since 2018. We are not alone in this. The Florida Department of Transportation also has a statewide target of zero serious injuries and zero fatalities, as well as the U.S. Department of Transportation for all modes. So aviation, rail, et cetera, all modes at the federal level are also targeted for zero serious injuries and fatalities. So all of the partners all the way up to the federal chain are aligned on this effort. With us, it starts at the Long Range Transportation Plan and it goes through the Vision Zero Action Plan. Now, how do we track our safety? Because our target is zero serious injuries and zero fatalities. Those are our core metrics that we track. We also look at serious injuries in terms of a rate because our population might go up or down, or the number of vehicle miles traveled might change on our roadway system. But what this enables to do is to have a better understanding of the trajectory of those fatalities and serious injuries when they're going up and when they're going down. We also track non-motorized serious injuries and fatalities as well as one combined metric. So what does that mean? What are we looking at? Between fatalities and serious injuries, what we want to look at is not just a year-over-year improvement, because you might have a year where you're going to stay the same, maybe you go down, maybe you go up, but it's only by a little bit. So when we look at safety performance measures, we track these in 5-year increments. So we have 2 cycles that are shown on the screen, 2014 to 2018. That's showing you the average, for example, number of fatalities that occur within a year in that time period. So for the first band, 169 fatalities on annual average occurred between 2014 and 2018. You can see a sharp increase from 169 to 200 between the and the next time period, 2019 to 2023. So fatalities annually on average are increasing. The reason that we do this is, as I said before, just to reiterate, those numbers might go up or down and might show small trend lines. When you look at it in this 5-year average, it gives a better picture of what the actual trend is. We know that we're going from 170 people from the previous 5-year average to 200 people on average. That is problematic. So we track that with a target of 0. Conversely, for serious injuries, that is a better trending statistic. So serious injuries are declining for potential number of reasons, but more or less what we're looking at here is that we have declined serious injuries by about 250. I didn't do the exact math, but that number has gone down quite substantially, as well as the rate has gone down substantially. The fatality rate hasn't changed too much. It went from 1.2 to 1.4, so order of magnitude. I'm not exactly sure how that compares to others in the region, but this is where we're at in Palm Beach County. Now, for pedestrian and bicyclist fatalities involving a motor vehicle, these are not just someone was biking and they fell and they hit their head and passed away. These are fatalities that are involving a motor vehicle. So a bicyclist or a pedestrian was killed in an incident. That is 58.2 crashes from the for the immediate 5-year average, and then the past average was 46.6. So that number has gone up quite substantially over those 2 time bands. And serious injuries has also declined for pedestrian and bicyclist serious injuries. Those targets are combined to 0, but we show them independently to give you an idea of how things are going upwards or downwards. So looking ahead and a little bit of looking back at what we're doing and what we've done about it. The state, as I mentioned before, we are aligned with the state on what they're doing and what they're tracking. They published this strategic highway safety plan, which we follow. We are a part of and helping to develop. There's an update underway in 2026. The most recent one is from 2021. That 2021 update had a number of emphasis areas that they track crashes and other statistics throughout the years. The ones that apply to Palm Beach County have to do with roadways, road users, and user behavior. So those 6 highlighted boxes that you see, which include lane departures, intersections, pedestrians and bicyclists, aging road users, impaired drivers, and distracted driving, those are our critical emphasis areas in Palm Beach County. If you trying to, go to a place and make the biggest impact, those are your target areas that you want to have your enforcement, your education, your engineering, and your design really coalesce behind. So obviously, intersections and lane departures are very critical. Pedestrians and bicyclists, we've been ranked poorly year over year by Smart Growth America. We were constantly working on that. Aging road users is a obvious emphasis area for most of South Florida, as well as impaired and distracted driving. So these are the things that we are constantly working on as we're thinking about our projects, and they're what the state encourages us to continue working towards. And we'll probably carry this forward into the 26 plan, but these data points are updated annually. So if they change, we present them every February. At the TPA, we have worked to help program a number of projects into our various work programs for safety. That of course comes through various forms. So starting at the top, we have helped 7 municipalities. Congratulations to the city of West Palm Beach. Most recently passed their complete streets policy on Monday evening. So they're the newest city to have a standalone policy. And the reason standalone policies are important is because that dictates how staff go about working. Whereas if it's included in a comprehensive plan or other kind of miscellaneous policies, it really isn't enshrined as well. So congratulations to the city for finally getting that in, even though they've been doing complete streets for quite some time. For Vision Zero, we have 14 municipalities that we've encouraged to adopt Vision Zero as their target. And we've helped to many municipalities and the county secure $11.3 million over the past 2 years in safety funding for planning and demonstration projects. Palm Beach County and Boca Raton most notably have received demonstration funding as well to help actually implement projects sooner than they can get their plans out, which is a really nice addition to what we are getting in Palm Beach. We, of course, program $5 million annually for our TA program. So we're looking forward to having our TA projects officially submitted a week from Friday. We should have them in. We are going to have a very competitive program this year. We're expecting about 10 applications to come in when we can fund potentially 4 or 5, depending on how the cost estimates come out. So that's very exciting. Lastly, of course, safety events and programs. I can get into this more detail. We have a couple extra slides if you would like, but we participate in about 40 safety events annually here at the TPA, whether they be bike safety education, e-bike safety education, school programming, helmet fitting certifications. We do all the whole gamut when it comes to these types of things, as well as working with DOT on the statewide pedestrian safety coalition and the pedestrian bicycle counting program. So we're trying really hard to make this Vision Zero become a reality, and that includes other things like designing and constructing projects. Of course, we have additional photos if you care to see those as well. Believe that this is the second to last slide, but just wanted to, since this body is receiving this, I wanted to make a note that we are working on our 2025 Vision Zero Action Plan update. This will hopefully align not just with the Safe Streets and Roads for All program that we've helped to prioritize or helped to receive $11 million here locally on, but there's obviously been a change in administration at the federal level. So we're going to make sure that we're making that plan consistent with whatever performance standards that are coming from that administration as well, and assisting our 14 grants and through the, I believe it's the 11 organizations that have received a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. So I really appreciate that and want to make sure that you all know that you will be receiving an update on that plan in June. And that concludes my presentation. I'd like to ask for a motion to recommend adoption, safety performance targets.
Staff, are there any public comments on this item?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, do we have any CAC members with comments? Myron?
Just a question. The 2019 to 23 period, the increased fatalities, is that at all biased by the COVID years? Did anything unusual happen during the COVID years?
So there was a large decrease in the number of vehicle miles traveled during 2020. I believe that the injuries and fatalities specifically remains similar. There might have been a little drop. I can send you the dashboard that we have, which will have the year over year data involved in it. But by and large, we're kind of trending up nationally with traffic injuries and fatalities. Traffic injuries, injuries are going down, but fatalities are increasing. Excuse me.
And what can you do about aging users?
There's
Speaking is one.
So if you're thinking about safety, you know, I don't have this slide in here, but safety is kind of like a broad term, but you can put it into like this Swiss cheese model where, like, you know how there's a slight, the hole is in the cheese here, but the hole is in the cheese here, holes in the cheese here. You know, this might represent vehicles and safe vehicles that we want on the road. Lots of new vehicles have forward safety sensors, rear safety sensors, past like lane detection assistance, which could help people who are aging become safer on the road and safer drivers. There's obviously standard technology out there for, you know, airbags, seat belts and all that. So we still have some education that we do with respect to that. Safer vehicles would help drivers become, you know, by default more safe. Automatic braking is a really great example of that. Unfortunately, you know, when all of our roads are designed large, high speed and otherwise, and frankly, our road design hasn't kept up with the size of vehicles, which is another concern, another topic and another day. It just makes it harder to navigate for someone who is aging, who might have, you know, some cognitive, you know, losses from seeing, hearing, etc. So I think there is a little bit of a counterbalance, but at some point, you know, you have to offer those people options too, which are not inclusive of driving themselves. So walking, biking, transit, paratransit, you know, those are options as well, but a lot of people don't see that as a viable opportunity for them in Palm Beach County.
Thank you. Paula?
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation, Brian. So I just wanted to point out that it's not just us, statewide, the fatalities have risen. And
Correct.
is there anything unique about the type of areas in that this occurs in? Any ideas as to what's adding to that increased fatalities? Is it just increased population, or do you think that there are some infrastructure issues that aren't being addressed?
It's a number of things. So part of it could be that there is an over-reliance on what I just talked about with safety sensors. I mean, there's a lot of cars that have full, quote unquote, full self-driving. They now call it full self-driving supervised. So it's one of those things. There might be an over-reliance on safety features that are causing higher speed crashes because most people will just set their car to go and tell it where to go, and they'll hopefully get there by themselves. At the statewide Pedestrian Bicycle Safety Coalition, you know, we do talk about why there is a decrease in injuries, but an increase in fatalities, and what is the reasoning for that. And I talked about larger vehicles, maybe it's aging, you know, users or other things. A lot of it is, you know, needs to be looked at much, much closer. But what we're scared of, and I think that I don't want to lead the committee to this conclusion, but has been talked about at that meeting, is that essentially people are not getting injured just because they're getting killed instead. So it could be road design, it could be the users, but you know, for what it's worth, the fatalities have increased, and there's a divergence in the data that's injuries are going down and fatalities are increasing. So less likelihood of survival.
Jim?
Yeah, I just
Two. Damn. Damn.
There you go.
Anyhow, thank you, everybody, for all your assistance there. I think one of the things too is that unfortunately, we have a lot of mental health issues, and you read about someone's lying down the middle of Military Trail. I think it was Military Trail, and getting run over at middle of the night or whatever else. So I think that probably has some impact on it. And I mean, I've been guilty of it too, is that, you know, people distracted while they're driving. A phone call comes in, a text goes out, whatever else, so forth. And I think that has a lot to do with the fatalities as well. And I mean, hopefully it's someday they jump in the car and it automatically shuts it off and you can't do anything with it.
Yeah, it's there is a driver alertness system. So I'm not shopping in the market because my wife tells me I'm not, but a lot of the vehicles that I want to get are now coming with a standard eyes on the road feature. So for example, Volvo has a feature where they will alert you after 5 seconds of inattention on the road. So the car beeps at you and gives you a visual warning on your heads-up display. Pay attention to the road. So that's very helpful. I believe that the vehicles will become safer faster than our roads are capable of becoming safer. So they're more prone to changing. I mean, obviously, road design takes a long while to get substantive changes through, but that could be, a reason for that.
Paul?
Thank you. I mean, the distracted driver issue is got to be monumental. We don't have any rules of the road, so to speak. You drive through some states, they see you on your phone, you are automatically pulled over and have a very hefty ticket.
Mhm.
Is there any conversation on the state
Yes.
level about how to address some of these lack of
So,
policy directives?
yes, we're tracking 2 different efforts. So the first one comes from the Florida Bicycle Association. There is a bill that's being pushed through right now. I believe the website is Hands Free Florida, FL Hands Free potentially. You'll have to Google that and tell me which one it is. But that would make driving while distracted with a cell phone a primary offense. So currently it's still kind of that subordinate where police really don't have a lot of capability to actually ticket. That is moving in the legislature right now. We're tracking that. So if any changes happen there, that would be good. And then additionally, I did want to, miss the opportunity. There was a rather tragic crash that occurred near Woodlands Elementary School on Lake Worth Road. 2 children were hit, 1 was killed and 1 was seriously injured. And the students and the parents of that elementary school came together and put together a petition together of about 1,200 signatures so far. So that's available through, I believe the Palm Beach Post has an article about that and an update.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, Jim, do you have anything? Okay. All right, seeing, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A motion by Myron, can I get a second?
Second.
By Albert. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. All right, going on to item B, a motion to recommend adoption of amendment number 2 to the TPA's fiscal year 25-29 transportation improvement plan. I'm going to invite Andrew Euler, our Deputy Director of Programs, to present on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is the second amendment to our currently adopted Transportation Improvement Program. So this covers, again, fiscal year 25 through 29. This is that 5-year programming of federal and state funds towards transportation within Palm Beach County. And for this one, when a product is revised, certain types of changes trigger amendments, which means it has to be reviewed by the public, and then it's got to be seen by our required committees. So the mandatory committees to see this are you all, and then the technical advisory committee we met earlier today. And so what's in this amendment and what triggers it? This is the addition of new products in the current fiscal year, 2025. And for that, just want to, as a reminder, it only impacts the products that are listed in this amendment. So you're not voting on the entire Transportation Improvement Program, which is hundreds of products. It's only those listed in this amendment. And so the products that are in here, there's 2 sort of main categories. The first one is a series of railroad safety projects. And so there's 6 of them in total. And many of them are scattered throughout railroad crossings in the county. So a few in the Glades community, and then many of them along the CSX corridor throughout the county. Most of them are singular products with single product numbers, and then one of them is a lump sum of products on the CSX. That's why there's various locations. The funding that is going towards these safety products is federal rail, highway crossing, and hazard elimination funds. So these are funds that are specifically eligible to eliminate hazards and improve safety at railroad crossings. These products were identified in collaboration with the railroad owners. So they submitted required safety upgrades and other needs along railroad crossings. And they were submitted to DOT, and then DOT prioritized, they vetted all those and prioritized those And then that's what you're seeing right here programmed is those projects that were chosen. So all of these are adding funds in the current fiscal year 2025. And that's really why they needed to be included into the TIP so they can get moving on these projects. And the types of changes are vary by interchange, by railroad crossing, I apologize. And they're in the backup for those descriptions. The other two projects that we have in this amendment are two TPA priorities. They're on the priority list that you all have seen and adopted at the governing board. And the first one is Lake Worth Road Transit Signal Priority. So this CAC actually had a conversation about transit signal priority a few meetings ago. But Palm Tran already has procurement out for signal technology for transit signal priority. And they're working towards that technology on US 1 within our county. And then also there's money programmed by the TPA for Okeechobee Boulevard. So those two other corridors will have transit signal priority. This is adding another priority, a third priority from our priority list of Lake Worth Road. And that's $1 million in fiscal year 2025. So this will probably be rolled out around the same time as the Okeechobee Boulevard transit signal priority. Then the next one is rolling stock. So this can be inclusive of both the locomotive and then also the rail cars. But Tri-Rail is has an aging fleet, and they're looking to put in a large order for new rolling stock for all their trains, both the carts and the locomotive. And this accelerates one of their priorities that we have in our list of $5 million into the current fiscal year. For this project, their initiative towards rolling stock, they actually received a large discretionary grant from the federal government. And then they also have money, not just from Palm Beach TPA, but Broward and Miami-Dade has also put in money towards rolling stock for Tri-Rail. The reason why we chose these two projects for ones to receive these funds, so this is money that was made available that we had remaining in fiscal year 25, so our current fiscal year. And when we look to accelerate products in our total list, we're really looking at ones that have the ability to be advanced and can take those funds within the current year. So it really kind of cuts back on the amount of ones that are eligible for that, because if you're already kind of going through design right now, you're not really ready for construction this year. So that's why you typically see something like a signal project that Palm Tran's already working on, or something like a transit product where the transit agency can take those funds now. So in total, it's $6 million here for TPA priorities in fiscal year 25. That's all I have for you. I can answer any questions related to those projects.
Thank you, Andrew. Staff, is there any comment from the public?
No, Mr. Chair.
Do we have any committee member comments? Lily?
Thank you. I just want to say it's really awesome to see three, public transit options on the table. And you guys made some great choices in funding for this cycle.
Sorry. Yeah.
Any other comments? Paul?
Nope.
Oh.
Just gonna make a motion.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
First by Paul, second by Alexander. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, passes. Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to circle to our informational items for the day. So items 3A is Florida Bicycle Month in March. I invite Brian Ruscher, Deputy Director of Multimodal, to present on this item.
Got me again. This one is more fun. I swear. Brian Ruscher, Deputy Director of Multimodal. I appreciate all of you sticking through. This is a briefing on what's coming in March 2025. So Florida has the fun honorary month of hosting its bicycle month 2 months early. So for those of you who do not know, the United States hosts its National Bike Month in May. It is too warm in May, so we bumped that date by 2 months. And so you'll see a lot of activities and programming from the TPA, as well as from hopefully your member jurisdictions about Florida Bicycle Month as well. So first and foremost, wanted to highlight that the TPA is going to be doing its bicycle ride on March 21st at 8:30 a.m. This is a picture from our last ride where we rode about 6 miles around the city and the new Clear Lake Trail, and that is a beautiful pathway. If you haven't seen it, it offers awesome views of downtown West Palm Beach. It's a good place to run or walk. Lots of dogs out there, so that's great. Really, really nice place. So we'll probably hit this one again, and maybe I'll tweak the ride a little bit just to keep it interesting. But look for that RSVP and come ride with us on that day. You'll see a lot more TPA programming and programming from partner agencies as we get closer to March. A lot of the partners are still kind of in flux about what events they're going to do and when they can land. And frankly, as I said before, we go to about 40 events a year. A lot of them happen during this time. So stay tuned for more information and different events. Last year, we are very proud to have smashed our proclamations goal. We hit 27 and we had a goal of 19. So we're really proud of that. And this year we're hoping to up the ante again. We have sent proclamations to all of your city's staff and your county commissioners. So all of the local governments have already been provided that proclamation for their consideration in their May agendas. As well as 2 organizations, both Boca Raton Bicycle Club and Safe Kids Palm Beach County are both on our list of potential agents to pass a proclamation. To give you an idea and a snapshot of some of the programming, be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Albert Richwagon, our committee member last year. I don't know how many events you did, but I feel like you were on like 12 different flyers, Albert. So I want to give you some recognition for that. I'm not going to ask you to do as much this year, I swear, and I'll tell our friend Miss Dang to also chill out with our programs, but he must have seen hundreds of bicycles and fixed them across the tri-rail stations and across, all the rides that we did. Really, really great programming from last year. There's a lot of things that come up. Obviously, bike rodeos are a lot of fun. That's where you go out and you train kids on how to ride their bikes. We did a night bicycle ride last year with the city of West Palm Beach. Royal Palm hosted a bike rodeo. The Professional Engineering Associations, ITE, ASCE, and Women in Transportation they all hosted a ride with us at the TPA. So I expect to see a lot of stuff coming out. And if you know of anything or seeing anything that you want to share with us, let us know, because we'll add it to our calendar and promote it in our e-news, our Facebook, and whatnot. So if you have questions, do not call me, do not email me, reach out to Sol. Sol couldn't join us today. She's our new multimodal planner. She joined us in December. And we're very happy to have her. She's gearing up for a lot of events. Today, she's in Miami with the Dutch Bicycle Embassy, learning about Dutch bicycle infrastructure. So she apologizes she couldn't make it today, but she's available for questions. And if you have anything, feel free to reach out to her or to me. That's okay too. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Do we have any public comments on this item?
No, Mr. Chair.
And do we have any committee members with comments or questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Brian.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, 3B is federal listing of obligated projects for fiscal year 2024. I'm going to invite Andrew to present on this item.
Okay, last item. So I apologize ahead of time. This is probably the most mundane item we have all year. It is a required item. So I know I do a lot of the bureaucratic required items, but I sort of enjoy this one. It is part of a good transparent process we have that's required. So this is the annual listing of obligated projects for our prior fiscal year. Okay. So once we finish a fiscal year, in this case, like a federal fiscal year, which runs October 1st to September 30th, once that is complete, we then get a report from FDOT that for all the MPOs, and it lists all the federal funds that were authorized the prior year. So this is the one for fiscal year 2024. So now we're operating 25, and we'll get one at the end of this fiscal year as well. And so in this report, what we're looking to do is we take a look at what was programmed in our transportation improvement program for federal funds, and then what was actually obligated, what was authorized by FHWA and FTA and drawn down. So do they match, and what was the reasons why they don't match? And then Also, in the online version, you won't say too much in the summary, but the online version, you'll see all the products listed, and you might see some negative values. Those negative values are de-obligations. So those were ones where it was initially obligated, so they were authorized to spend them down, but for some reason, they didn't do that. Maybe the product was canceled, delayed, or for other reasons. These are typically not so great to do because FHWA doesn't want to approve and authorize funds that you don't actually spend down. So if they see excessive amounts of that, it'll be flagged. But just wanted to point those out why you see negative numbers. And so how do we get to this point of the process, right? We went through this entire way of developing products and getting them prioritized and then reviewing those. Then we have our program, transportation improvement program. And this is that last part where we track those federal funding obligations. And the way this, at a very high level, how it sort of works for an obligation is it's listed in our transportation improvement program, right? So that funding amount by phase is listed for a project. And once that's approved by us, and then the state has their consistent version with our version, the product manager for those products can then request those funds from FHWA to start drawing them down. So they'll send that request into FHWA. They look at it and they see, okay, it's listed correctly in the TIP, in the state's transportation improvement program as well. There's some other eligibility and concerns in there they look at, and then they'll authorize those funds. Once it's authorized, those product managers can then start drawing those funds down. So that's typically when they start to go out and bid for a construction contract, right? So gets approved by FHWA, then they can go and put a bid out and get that constructed. This last year, $141 million in federal funds were obligated in Palm Beach County. And this is my last slide for you. I'm really just talking high level at the process here, not trying to get too much in the weeds, but we can get more in the weeds if you wanted to with me personally, if you want to learn more about this process. But one thing I want to mention is you'll see a lot of differences within the tables about what was actually planned in the Transportation Improvement Program versus what was actually spent and drawn down. And one of the major reasons why you'll see a difference is because the state actually puts a lot of money towards what is called advanced construction of federal projects. So they'll flag products, and FHWA agrees to this, where they go through the federal process, but they're just using state funds at the time of that. So they're federalized products, and they are eligible for reimbursement, so they're pre-qualified for federal reimbursement, but they may not federally reimburse at that time. But when funds become available down the road, they'll go back and reimburse these. A good example of this is a project that's currently underway. Connors Highway is a major project in the Glades area, heading up to South Bay area, Canal Point. And it's a major resurfacing job, and it has a lot of state funds on it. There's $19.5 million in advanced construction funding that is eligible for federal reimbursement. So that was in our TIP a few years ago. And then what you're seeing in this backup today is $18 million in federal reimbursement. If you were to go look at our TIP from last year, it's not in there. It's because it was advanced construction with state funds, and now there's $18 million in federal reimbursement. So a lot of the products you see in there and there's discrepancies is because of this program now. The reason why they have this program in the first place is that when the federal government and the other states don't spend their funds and those funds are redistributed, the state can always ask for more funds. Say, we have funds that we can take those federal dollars because we have things to reimburse. And so when there's any leftover funds, Florida has an opportunity to capture those. And that's really all I have for you. Again, if you want to get more into details, I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Thank you, Andrew. Are there any public comments on this item?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, any questions from the committee? Myron?
Sure. And that's a good question, Myron. So what Myron's referring to is, the current administration has released some memos and executive orders related to federal spending, and they're reviewing all federal spending. So that includes all transportation planning funds and all types of transportation infrastructure funds that we have. And so we are sort of staying engaged in that conversation with our partners at the state level. So the other MPOs here and then MPOs nationally. So they are talking to the administration and staying on top of things when it comes to those. And we're hearing more guidance come out from both our national partners, the other MPOs, and then as more information is released from the administration, we'll get more updates from the Federal Highway Administration and Federal Transit Administration. So, I guess it is important to point out too about right now we don't have any impacts to us. Obviously, we foresee people are preparing for certain things in different scenarios. We haven't really prepared in any sort of way yet here because we haven't really heard differently. I would also say that our current federal transportation bill goes to fiscal year 26. So regardless, this is going to be a large discussion, just in the short term about reimbursements, but also long term about what our federal funding looks like moving forward. So a good example of this is, you'll see in our transportation improvement program that we have federal funds planned out for 5 years, right? Well, this federal transportation bill goes to 26. So that's only into next year's fiscal year. So all those programs that we have further out, and we already have products programmed in there, those are sort of slotted in there and it's balanced based on planning and good budgeting practices, but those aren't guaranteed truly yet because they're not part of any federal transportation spending bill. So an example of those is carbon reduction funds. We have carbon reduction funds that we receive from the federal government, and we have those planned out 5 years, but maybe that changes in the next transportation bill that is released in a few years. So obviously there's a lot of ongoing conversations and it impacts all types of government spending, not just in transportation, but we are staying updated on it. And then if we get any more information about where we need to head, we'll provide that update to everyone, all the committees and the board.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none. Thank you, Andrew. Items 4A through 4D are informational only. There will be no staff presentations unless requested by a committee member. Seeing none. Staff, are there any public comments on these items?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right. That being said, our next CAC meeting is scheduled for March 5th, 2025. And at this time, our committee meeting is adjourned.